welcome back to Stringer Than Fiction. Jonathan Stringer here, and I have my next video for you. This is going to be as you can see from the title, another book haul. I've picked these up over the last few weeks, and to be honest, I have a whatnot show tomorrow where I'm hoping to sell some or a lot of these books. So this is why this video is a little close to the last one, but I hope you guys will enjoy it anyway. I got a lot to show. I wouldn't say there's a ton of anything super wow in this. A couple eBay pickups, a couple whatnot pickups. I did have one local haul recently, I guess a week or so ago. Right before I left I came back from my Vegas trip, and it was mostly, well, not mostly, it was only Star Wars and some Star Wars and Dragonlance. A big collection of Dragonlance and Star Wars. I paid about $200. I'm going to keep just a little of it. I don't really collect too much of either of those series. I do some Dragonlance. But you know, maybe I'm not going to lose money on it, but is the effort to list and sell all those going to be worth the profit I'll get out of it, since I didn't keep much? That's where I'm going to question. Usually if I get any kind of lot, I'm anticipating keeping at least a decent, or either a decent portion of it, or like a really nice highlight book or two out of there that's like harder to find. And then I'll sell the rest to kind of recoup my cost and either break even or maybe keep a few books and make a smaller profit. That's kind of the goal, and that's how I've helped build up my collection the way it is now, is doing that method. And it allows me to be more flexible in my buys and buy more stuff at cheaper individual prices so I can sell the remainder. Yeah, it just makes sense. I don't think you guys need me to explain it, but on to the hauls. I'll try to explain where most of these came from, and then I'll also let you know if I'm keeping it or not. Most of this one's going to be for sale. If you see a book in a bag, that means it's either valuable or I'm going to keep it, and I'll try to point out the ones I'm keeping. But these will all either be listed on Whatnot Show, or I'll be showing on the Whatnot Show tomorrow night, Wednesday at 7 Central Time, Wednesday the 2nd, July 2nd. Or I will list them on eBay maybe, just depends. So without further ado, here we go. So this next several books came from a Whatnot seller named Jaw. He likes to, he says, make Whatnot famous, is so he calls it, and sells a bunch of stuff per the pound or on a scale. And so I think he hadn't been on a little while and was having a little blowout one night, pop-up show, and he messaged me, hey, you want to buy a bunch of books for cheap? I'm like, all right. So hopped in, and he was just throwing stuff up on the scale. One of them he liquidated, the rest was Robotech. I have almost a complete set of these. I decided I was collecting them. I think I'm going to sell them. I know Battletech ripped off Robotech in design, but I have a softer spot for Battletech, and don't know if I'm actually going to read the Robotech books. But these are all actually doubles of what I already have. I just bought them without looking, and I was hoping I'd fill in some of the gaps, but I didn't. But here's book 7, Southern Cross. These all kind of look fairly similar. You'll see Symphony of Light. I'm going to go through these quick. You're either a Robotech fan or you're not, and you're probably not interested if you're not. Metamorphosis. The Final Nightmare. Most of these are pretty clean. There's a few little dings and shelfware, but Metal Fire. This one does have a crease on the back. But most of the books I picked up are at least decent shape. There's a few that are worn in my eBay lot, especially. But for the most part, they're pretty good. And this is Invasion. So about 7 or 8 Robotech books. And then here's more the standard science fiction fare. The Synthetic Man by Theodore Sturgeon. This is a little coverware. Again, these will all be for sale. I may or may not have the Robotechs. Yeah, I guess I will, because I already have another lot. Computer World by Van Vogt. And this is Dawn number 554. It's one of the later Yellow Spines. Not bad. It does have a little creasing here on the corner, but it is a numbered DAW. I debated keeping this one for myself. It's Tyrannopolis. It's a UK. I have a soft spot, or I'm a sucker for UK covers. This one's alright. It's a sphere. This one has a little value, even though it's got some wear. Omega Man, I Am Legend by Matheson. Obviously, the movie is well known, or the movies. There's several of them. And it's actually a book I want to read. I did enjoy the movies for what they are. Here's a extra tall boy paperback of Starship Troopers with a more modern cover. All right, this is I've seen a lot of books, either through Whatnot, through YouTube, through eBay, stores, the ones I've accumulated. But what always amazes me, and part of what I enjoy about, collecting these old science fiction books is you always keep finding books that you didn't know existed or never seen before. So it happens to me all the time, and it's very obscure. Some of these writers you've never heard of, but here's maybe I'm not saying this one's no one never heard of, but Lee Hoffman, Always Black Knight. I've never seen this book before, I don't think. So I don't think it's especially any, like, super valuable or anything, but it's always cool to find stuff. Here's another one I've obviously never seen. It's in French, so I picked it up really just because of the cover. But comps online are actually kind of high. It's La Basse for this. I mean, the artwork is excellent. But it's in French. And I definitely don't speak French or read French. Herbert, Old Frank. Oh, it's actually got a little sticker residue I missed. I need to get off. I didn't take a sticker off this, so this must be old. So before I do anything with my books, I put all the packing material up to reuse for my shipments, and I'll de-sticker every book, and I'll clean every book. I'll get a slightly damp cloth, wipe it all down. If I need to get a little heavier on some of the stickers with some tools and things, I will. I probably have a 95% success rate with stickers without damage, or sometimes I'll remove them without damage, but you can tell there's a sticker there because of fading, or that either it's faded behind the sticker or not faded and the rest of the book's faded, so you can tell the old sticker was there. But I don't like to sell my books with stickers. I don't like to sell my books with dirty. I'll clean them all off. So I put a lot of effort into it, but it's part of the hobby. This is Soul Catcher by Frank Herbert. I'm a big Battletech fan, like I mentioned. I collect most of these. I have this one. I need to compare if this copy is nicer than the one I have, but this is one of the old FASA ones from the 80s, one of the early ones. And I think it's like a $15, $20 book, so not bad pickup. So if I got it, I'll keep the better condition one and sell the other. This one's cool, and I'm keeping it. The Long Result by John Brunner. I do enjoy these Ballantine covers. Ballantine, after the lasers, and and then the adult fictions, especially with the Ballantines, but they may be my next favorite publisher. I just always liked the aesthetic of their publishing and printing in the 70s and 60s. These are cool. These are each book one of a Mark Lawrence trilogy, Prince of Fools and Prince of Thorns. You don't really have to read one or the other. This comes later, Fools, and it references some things from this one, but you don't really have to read them to enjoy them. I either read them on e-reader or I audiobooked them several years ago, and I enjoyed the series. It's very anti-hero, very dark. Another one is Jim Butcher. Got a couple Dresden File books. This one is a bit worn on the back, the cover, so I'll probably sell that one cheap. But another series, I audiobooked the entire one. I enjoyed it. Not what I held off on the Butcher series or the Dresden Files series for a while because the urban fantasy thing doesn't necessarily appeal to me. But once I got into it, I was hooked. So it's pretty good if you like that stuff. All right, I got another Van Vogt, The Beast. This one's got a little wear, but this is actually a more uncommon Van Vogt. Holds a little bit more value. It's not just like a normal $2, $3 book. Another one like that, Star Pirate's Brain by Ron Goulart. I've read one Goulart. He's kind of a palate cleanser, kind of silly author in a way. He wrote a ton of stuff. He wrote for several authors as well, or names. I'll read him some more. Again, I read that one. It was the one with the little cowboy lizard guy on the front. I can't remember the name of the book, but it was a quick little fun jaunt. Nothing mind blowing. Nothing. It wasn't bad though. Gordon R. Dixon, Tactics of Mistake, and this is another doll number 9, so this is the first 100 dolls. Dixon is usually pretty prevalent to find. These, again, never seen these before, and never heard of this author, Italo Calvino, and they are in English, not in Italian or anything. And I liked how these kind of matched. It's HBJ as the publisher, so I have seen HBJs, but not like this before. Harcourt, Brayson Jovanovich, and the Harbrace Paperbound Library. So I don't know if they're any good. Actually, this Cosmic Comics has a little value. T0, not quite as much. I'm going to sell them as a pair because they match. I thought those were cool. Couple of Zelazny's. This Immortal. And this Lord of Light. Not my favorite of the Lord of Light. I do like the Black Avon printing better, but this is a little more modern than that one. The Black Avon printing is pretty sweet. A very beat up The Devil in a Forest. It actually had a little tape on it I removed, and you can't even really tell. Gene Wolfe. Gene Wolfe usually holds some value and are sought after. This one is a reader copy. I mean, the binding's intact and everything. It's just the front cover has some rips and tears on the edges. And the back cover, I should say. Sorry. All-right. Another stack. The Timekeeper Conspiracy by Simon Hawke. A science fiction. I just like the way it looked. I don't think it has a lot of value, but some people collect the Hawks. Rose Estes. I think it's Estes. This is The Hunter. So a cool story about Rose is Zigzagoon, who sells on eBay and whatnot as well, sold Rose some of her own books. So she goes and buys her own books and goes to conventions and hands them out as gifts or to kids and stuff. So if Rose ever watches my video, which she won't, she's older lady now, and I would send her some of these for free just to do that. So it's pretty cool. Or if she wants to buy them off my eBay or something, if she feels bad, I'll sell them. Susan Cooper, The Grey King. Don't know much about that. Arthur C. Clarke, Imperial Earth. And this one has like a little paper. You can't see it probably on video. It's got like a little paperback protector on it. You can only really tell because it's got a little extra shine. That whoever applied this did a really good job. So some people don't like them, but this one's so not obvious, and I'm pretty sure it is because I'm not used to them being this shiny on these Del Reys. Maybe I'm off. I don't know. I can't tell. Maybe I'm off, but it stayed in nice shape either way. Bradbury Machineries of Joy, and the I call them the Bradbury face printing livery. My wife likes those. I think she has them all now, or most of them. Blish, All the World's a Stage. Oh, sorry, and All the Stars are a Stage. It's got the red text block. I'm keeping a couple of these coming up. Walter John Williams. He's someone I've heard a lot about. He has some cyberpunk. He's got some harder sci-fi or science fiction or yeah, that. And or the space opera stuff, I think. So I've been meaning to read him. Several people who I watch on YouTube or talk to and whatnot have said he's great. So I need to dig into Walter John Williams. Probably that cyberpunk series he has is going to be the one I'll try to target first if my RNG doesn't take over first before then. All right, I'm keeping this one because it's cool. I have a feeling I may not like Sheckley. I hear he's a more comedy focused, and that's usually not my thing. And I think Douglas Adams I hear is like a more modern version of Sheckley. And I don't really care for Douglas Adams, so I have a feeling I may not like these. I'll read a few and then I'll figure it out. But this is a really cool UK printing in nice shape, so I'm keeping that one. And then another one I need to read of this Olaf Stapleton. He is one of the earlier science fiction influencers and story writers. With he's got 3 or 4 big books. The one that's John, the notes for my name. He's, I don't know, it's 3 or 4. I know him if I saw him. I can't remember off the top of my head, but here's one I didn't have. And the other ones I have in the SF Masterworks sets. So this is one I don't think's in the SF Masterworks. I'd have to double check, but it's a cool UK copy. It's a little edge-weared, beat up on here and in the back. But it's a Manor book. You don't really see these often. It's got some value. So I was happy about that one. And Van Vogt, another Space Beagle, Voyage of the Space Beagle. And for those of you who don't know, was probably the biggest inspiration on Alien. So this book usually is a little more sought after and collectible due to the Alien connection. Probably Van Vogt's best known book, I'd say. Speaking of D&D, got a couple of those coming up. I have The Pirate King by Salvatore, part of the Drizzt series, Drizzt Do'Urden. I read them all up to like the mid 2000s, 2005, 2006. I'd read all whatever been printed up to then. He's been printing more and writing more since then. I have not come back to it since then. I enjoyed it. They're fun for what they are. They're, he does, Salvatore does very good, combat and action scenes. So if you're into that. And then Dragons of the Summer Flame. This is a continuation on the first 3 Chronicles books, I believe, from Weiss and Hickman. Really nice shape on this one. Usually you see these larger ones that's all been creased to hell. So that means this book was probably not read. So nice shape. Goes in the D&D pile. And then a cool Joanna Russ. I put it in I think I already have this, but I need to check which one's nicer. This one might be better than mine. And then I'll sell whichever one I deem the lesser one. But she's been pretty collectible as well, getting a lot of praise recently from science fiction YouTubers. So, last stack from this haul. Got a couple Connie Willis's, and I got some more Willis's on another. This is probably her most famous book, Doomsday Book. It does have a couple read increases, but it's a chonker. Heard good things. I already have a copy. Actually, I think I might even have a hardcover copy if I'm not mistaken. I have to check. One I hadn't seen from her, The Passage. It does have an unfortunate crease here. It's not like what I call a floppy crease where it's just like flipping around, but it is visible and you can feel it. But not a book I see that often from her. See a lot of the Doomsday Book. I see a lot of Lincoln's Dreams, but not that one. Space Lords by Cordwainer. This one's a little beat up. Probably start this for like $2 tomorrow. Again, a lot of my books most of my books on Whatnot, unless they're super valuable, I start between $2 and $5 or $6 typically. And I'm like, if the room's busy enough, I'll start it lower just because I have a feeling people might bid it up a little bit and I'll give people a chance to get it for cheap. Sometimes I'll let expensive books go for cheap. Sometimes books that aren't that valuable get a few people fighting each other and it goes for maybe a little more than I would have expected. I think it kind of washes out in the end, but I like the lower starts as it, people feel they either have a chance at a deal. They'll be more eager to come hang out in the show. And again, I'm not trying to get rich off these. I'm just trying not to lose money and keep some stuff. So that effect, I'm not doing this as a main, income driver. I know some people do, and they have to be, take this in a more business, with more business acumen with costs and profits. But I think I do well enough to where I don't have to worry about it as far as like well enough on my purchases versus what I'm selling. Like I'm not losing money. I'll put it that way. Cosmic Engineers by Simak. Again, this one has a crease. This is actually a more valuable Simak, and the cover looks cool, but that crease is gonna take the value down a decent bit. So unfortunate. I'm gonna put this box back, and the last one from this box, The Werewolf Principle. And so I actually have a couple other books I'll show. It's funny when you say The Werewolf Principle. Cat Under Stars, who watches my videos and has been a very loyal Whatnot customer of mine, saw my last video. I got some really nice Simak DAWs, and one of them was The Werewolf Principle, and he's like, hey, I'll buy them from you, we can do a trade. I was like, I'm good with either one. And I got some Taniths to trade you. I'm like, all right. I think he had 3, but I was like, hey, I think these Tanith Lees are worth a little more than these Simaks. And he's like, all right, how about just for the 2 of them? These 2. And I said, sure. And then dummy me sent him one of the other Simaks he wanted, and then the Goblin Preservation, and then another one, and I didn't send the Doll Werewolf, so I sent him the wrong Simak. So I told him just to keep it, but he's like, no, no, I'll send. I feel too weird keeping a free book, so he's gonna send it back to me, and I'll just pay him for the shipping. But I have to send them that Werewolf Principle. I have very, very few goof ups like that, and it's more doing that trade kind of was off my typical, eBay, follow this and do this or whatnot. I have them all organized with stickies and things like that. So it kind of threw me off a little bit from what I'm used to, and maybe that's why I goofed, or I was just being careless, I suppose. But anyway, here are the two Lees he traded me. The Birthgrave, which is DAW 154, in pretty good shape. So I'll be having that for sale. I need to check which one's better, than if that's better than mine. And then Don't Bite the Sun, which is Ziggs and Raxus's favorite Lee, and they really like this one. This one has some decent value. It's the reprint one, so it's not the main number. It's a different art for it. So if you're wanting to collect all the doll arts, you should also get this one. Not this exact copy, whatever, but you know what I mean. Some people just want to collect one of each book, or the numbered ones. Some people collect even the art variants. It's a very collectible publishing set. So here is a big eBay haul. This one actually is a little more valuable than I thought. You got Thor coming up at some spaceship, which is another Hoffman, Curtis H. Hoffman, Project Millennium. I've never seen this before. I should have seen this, but it's an old... This one had a lot of older, early to mid 60s, I'd say, books, which aren't as common, especially in this decent shape. But here's a 40-cent pyramid, and typically you can tell, or I can tell from the pricing and the art style and the style of the book. Obviously, the cheaper the book, the older it is. Usually, not always, but usually, especially with the 60s books. So anything under like the 50 cents are typically, I think, in the 60s. Anything over like $1.75, $2, usually 80s, and then the 80s also have the barcodes, right? So this is Dance of the Hag by Stephen Lee. I've never seen this one before. This box had a lot of... I've never seen this before, so hopefully you don't get too tired of me hearing or saying that. Milton Lesser, Secret of the Black Planet. This one's interesting, and it's got a little value. The other Vance. This is Steve Vance. I don't know if they're related or not. Doubt it. But this is a very interesting, like, cheapy drugstore paperback rack kind of book or printing. Inflation Fighter. I love that. It's hilarious. So maybe I just never seen one like this before. It does have a little crease here at the corner, but overall pretty good shape. And those usually just got put in the back of the pocket and just beat the hell, I'd imagine. So here's a cool one. Nerves by Lesser Del Rey. Unfortunately, it has this little... It must have had someone, not me, that took the sticker off and have some tear there. That'll bring it down, but this is a pretty cool Del Rey. Oh, Lester. Oh, Lester. All right. The Eternity Brigade by Stephen Golden. Looks like an 80s science fiction. Here's a cool one I'm keeping, and I love the art on this. So when I say I like UK art, look at that. That's cool. The detail on that dinosaur alien thing is nice. There's an orbit. Circus World. So I do have this set of this series already by Longyear, but I'm just probably going to keep both because I don't want to break that matching set. And if I found all the rest of the orbits, the other two, I think there are 2 or 3, then I would sell that set. But I'm just going to have 2 books right now because that's too cool. And actually, I just sold a Longyear Enemy Papers hardcover on eBay like an hour before I started recording. So that's funny. I almost kept this because the cover's so cool. Robin Sanborn and the Book of Steer, I believe is how you say that. And again, I've never seen it before. It's really cool. It's got this faint kind of crease on the front cover that kind of starts there, or actually throughout the book. So it must have probably had another book sat on it and it kind of bent up a little over time. Not bad, but it's noticeable. Harold Mead, The Bright Phoenix. This looks like a Richard Powers cover. But I looked and I didn't see anything confirming that. But Powers did a lot of these Ballantines. A 35-cent Ballantine, however you say it. Witches of Carries by Schmitz. I already have these. A Science Fiction Special. And there's 2 versions of science fiction specials, I think, on that book. Another Stephen Golden, Mind Flight. This says it's a Disney movie. I'm not... Yeah, there's movie pictures on the back, but Island at the Top of the World by Ian Cameron, movie novelization. Very... one I haven't seen before. I didn't even know about this movie. And usually I know about most movies. So, is it good? Has anyone seen it? Did it actually exist? I have seen some books where they're like, coming soon, this new awesome movie, and they never made the movie. So that's kind of funny. I imagine since this actually has pictures from the movie, at least on the back, that it does exist, but must not be very good because I've never heard anyone talking about it. Here, another one I haven't seen before. Lawrence Schoonover's The Central Passage. And this is really clean with the green, tealish text block. A remarkably prophetic novel about 2 super intelligent, gentle, and beautiful beings destined to destroy the whole human race. Staggers the imagination, per the Chicago Tribune. So, never heard of it. I do know Wilson Tucker, and I've seen this before. This is Man from Tomorrow, an old 25-cent bantam. So let me check. The 25 centers, I think, are early 60s. Or maybe... no, this might actually be... This says... No, this is 55, so this is even older than I thought. That's a 55. Usually you don't find too many of those. And it's in pretty nice shape, considering. Pohl, I don't often see. Frederick Pohl. This is Turn Left at Thursday. I might want to keep this. I heard people say good things. I know Ira likes Pohl a lot from SF Words of Wonder. 35-cent Valentine. Cool cover, too. The Fourth R by George O. Smith. I don't know what the Fourth R is. But, again, another old one. It's an old 35-cent Valentine. A science fiction special. Pansion. The Rite of Passage. Here's a really nice copy of The Judgment of Eve by Edward Pangborn. I mean, this thing is like, was untouched on a shelf for probably 50 years. It's so nice. And I think I have it in that SF Discovery series. So otherwise I'd keep that one. Here's another one I think Ira likes is Sherrod, Alien Island. I have this already. I'd keep it. But look at that. Art's cool. I mentioned a couple more Connies. Lincoln's Dreams. 80s or early 90s copy. Somewhere like that. And then Firewatch. Alright. Got a little bit more in this box. And then I got some other cool ones out here. And then we'll be done. Var the Stick. I think I had a Var the Rope. Which is I think this happens sequel to that. By Piers. This is one of Piers' first books he wrote. 10 Years to Doomsday by Christopher Anderson. Very pulpy looking cover. It's a little beat up. I think some of these coming up have a little wear. Beyond the Sealed World by Rena Vale. I've not seen this one before. William Tinn, The Human Angle. That's an old copy of it. I like William Tinn. I read of Men and Monsters early this year. It was the first book I read in 2025. It was great. So I am a William Tinn fan. I'm going to try to read. He didn't write a ton. He only wrote a few novels. Most of it's short stories. But I'm a fan. Assignment Nor Diren by Sidney Van Sciac, I believe. I don't know what this is. The art is cool. It does have some, surface wear, so the art isn't as pretty as it would be. I've had several of these before. Joe Haldeman, Old Man's War. No, that's Scalzi. Haldeman's that's like that. It's like that. I can't remember what it's called, but this is one of there's other ones he got famous off that, and here There's No Darkness. Now I'm kicking myself for not knowing what that is or the name. Here's a pretty beat up Schmidt's Agent of Vega. I have that Haldeman, so that's really bothering me. Vance, Jack. The other Vance. This is Alistor 1716 Whist, whatever that. Vance and his naming, I don't know. I don't know. I've seen a lot on the top of my head that this video as well. The Space Jacks by Robert Wells. I've seen other Robert Wells. This looks like another Richard Powers cover. Let me check. This was Charlene Wolf's book. And no, I don't see him. But there's that. I've seen this before. The Space Barbarians by Godwin. Never seen anything else by Godwin, so maybe it wasn't that good. I don't know. Obviously seen a lot of Farmers, The Gates of Creation, Philip Jose. Very prolific writer. A big Piers Anthony macroscope, the red text block. Not in bad shape. These are usually beat up. Not a, Piers isn't the big sought after guy these days, but another Wilson Tucker, Tomorrow Plus X. Very cool. Van Vogt doll, Earth Factor X. This is doll number 206. It's got some wear. It's got some lean. So this will sell cheap. I always laugh at the spawn of the Death Machine. And then, here is the Death Machine. Look, he's so scared. I don't know. It's a beat up copy. It's going to go cheap. Yeah, these are another beat up one. The Lord of Death and the Queen of Life by Homer Eon Flint. I've seen this once before. It's not a very common one. I've never heard anything about it otherwise, but that one's beat to hell. ADF, Blood Hype, Alan Dean Foster. Very prolific writer. If you go to a bookstore, you're going to see Alan Dean Foster's, you're going to see Andre Norton's, and you're going to see Piers Anthony's, and you're going to see Marion Zimmer Bradley's. They wrote so many books. Beyond Eden by David Duncan. I do love this cover. It's a really nice cover. Old Ballantine 35 center. In nice shape too. This is a Brunner I didn't have. I'm keeping Double. This is another Ballantine. Very cool. I haven't read Brunner yet. I've heard good things. I'll give him a try. I tend to just collect authors I think I'll like, and then finally get around to reading them. Sometimes I don't like them, then I'll give them 2 books chance. If I don't care for them, I'll probably sell them after that. Starjacked by William Greenleaf, like an 80s. The Black Cloud by Fred Hoyle. I've had this book a few times. I actually still may have a few ones of these. The Mercenary by Purnell. These are very common. Love Conquers All by, is it Saberhagen or Saberhagen? I don't know. Really cool cover, I think, on this one. She's got the exhaust pipe body armor or whatever the hell it is. But it's got some wear on it. This is Wanderer, but not Liber. This is Dennis Schmidt, just Wanderer, not The Wanderer. The Cosmic Rape by Sturgeon. This book has like 3 or 4 different covers or printings. Probably about 2 stacks left to show, and then I'll get to my last ones. Probably most of these last ones are ones I'm keeping. Thorarin Gunnarsson. Never heard. Star Wolves and Star Wolves Battle of the Ring. I guess it's book 1 and 2. Looks like a space opera, military science fiction type. Alf by Charles Eric Maine. I think this is like an older science fiction book. A Merit, Face in the Abyss. This is a really old copy. This is how you usually find these. Kind of all beat up like this. This is an old Avon 35 center. Short. It's still hanging in there, but if that was a nice, clean copy, that'd be decent. Have a little value. And you see a lot of these Berserker, Saberhagen, Berserker's Planet. I think I had one on the last show, too. The last video. Jefferson P. Swickhaffer. This is Killer on the Run. Or, sorry, the Universal Prey. It says Killer on the back. I have another one of these in the series. I've never really heard of the author before, but it is cyberpunk, so I'm going to give it a try. Why not? After Doomsday, Paul Anderson. This is an early pull in really nice shape, considering its age. Cool cover. Very old school science fiction cover there. This one always cracks me up. The Coins of Murph. So if someone is named Murphy, they need to get the Coins of Murph book. This is a pretty good shape. I've seen that one before. Kuttner, old Avon Kuttner, kind of like that Merritt 35 center short guy. Destination Infinity. Cool cover though. Winter Mine by Marvin Kaye and Park Godwin. I believe this is either, yeah, I think it's a cyberpunk. So look cool. Try it out someday, maybe. All right, that was all that eBay lot. So I'll put these up, and then I have someone smaller eBay. So with all the Malmsberg hype recently, and someone on the Discord found someone selling these underlays for $20 on eBay. And I don't know, before this guy found all these for $20, it was like a $40, $50 book. So I jumped on it while I could. They said they're new. I think they're just new old stock they found somewhere in a warehouse, or maybe I've seen a lot more Malmsberg books on the market lately. Maybe because of his death, and he had had some somewhere stashed, and they're selling them. Who knows? But it does have like a little ding here, so maybe this was like a printing or storage error, and they never didn't sell them, and it's just been sitting in a box for 40 years. Who knows? But he had a whole bunch of them for sale, and most of us in that Discord jumped on a copy. And then I got this little book lot of 3, and this one was funny. I don't think I showed this last time. Maybe I did. These 3 Malmsbergs in the enclosure, the mini worlds of Barry, and then the day of the burning. So I picked up this. It was like $24 shipped. And the funny thing, I think I did talk about this, where someone else in Discord also saw the listing. I was like, oh wait, that's the same thing I bought. And how is he going to have these same books? But apparently he did, because they were in the condition he said they were going to be. So that was cool. One of those, I think, actually, one of these isn't the one that came in the lot. This, I think it was mine prior that I upgraded. And then this Mini Worlds is one I didn't have. I'm keeping on my shelf. I'm currently reading The Best of Barry, and I've been struggling a little bit with it. And I was talking to Plum God, and who does the intro song, and he's a big Malmsberg fan, and I'll talk more about it when I finally review this book. But I appreciate his writing, if not necessarily enjoying the story so far. After I had this conversation with him in Discord, I'm about halfway through. I then read probably 3 of the 4 of my favorite stories in the book. So it did tick up a little bit. I was enjoying some of these, and so it's just a mixed bag. Lauren, my wife, found this the other day at Goodwill. It's a Pillars of Pentegar, Endless Quest Dungeons and Dragons book. Mostly in nice shape. It's not written on, but it does have a soft corner here with a little, piece of that. It's not, the ink is gone. The actual corner is still there, but not a bad find. These next came from Tile C. Or actually, no, this one came from another Whatnot purchase. I think I'm going to keep. Presertia, The Deadly Sky, like in mint condition. These are Lim J books. They get some minty daws. These next came from Tile C, Tyler Sears, big Whatnot seller and eBayer, I believe. And I always try to hit up his shows. He just had a huge lot haul the other day and sold a ton of books. So it was an amazing show. This is Under the City of Angels by Jerry Earl Brown. Either I already have this or I decided not to keep it. I bought it, but it's a really, really clean copy. I need to go make sure before I Whatnot tomorrow that that's not the one I want to keep. I picked up a couple more SF Masterworks for the set. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And Where Late the Sweet Birds Sing, which people, and myself included, always struggle to say that title properly, by Wilhelm. I did have another paperback version of that, so I guess I'll probably keep that. This one. This was a cool Libri find on their website. Since I read Random Acts of Senseless Violence, I wanted to finish read the rest of the Womack series. So this is book 1 in the Ambient series. Ambient. So, and then Knight, who says needs in the Discord, just read this and they said it was good. So I'm excited. So I just bumped the camera. And then I got The Other End by John Shirley. And this is a Cemetery Worlds. It's one of those special publishers. Came in a Mylar already, and it is signed by Mr. Shirley. One of 1,000 copies, limited edition. So I got both of these books combined for 20 bucks. Not bad at all. So I was excited for that. When I was in Vegas, I bumped into a fellow Whatnot friend, Picklepuss and his wife, Nifty Nate, and they're big time eBay sellers, like with thousands of listings, and not just in books. They do everything. But he used to work for the library, and he could get uncorrected proofs. He's not allowed to sell them, but he can give them away. And when he was posting some of these, I'd mentioned I was interested in this one, and he was going to read it. But when I met them for dinner, he kindly brought this with him and gave it to me as a gift. So very cool. I love Conan. So, and it's a Unbound Arc, basically advanced reader copy. And my last two books to show for this haul. This is from the same Tile C Whatnot purchase. I got a hardcover book club edition of The Hobbit. Very cool, clean art. Love the art. And a huge copy, also book club edition, of The Lord of the Rings. So all three of the individually released books. I know people say, hey, but he wrote it as one book. I get it. So it is one book here. Why did I get these? Well, they're cool. And I have several different sets of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit in paperback. I got a few box sets. I got some loose paperbacks or most of the old Valentines, but I did not have hardcovers. So yeah, I was like, well, love Lord of the Rings. It's such a classic. Goes without even saying, right? But I probably should have hardcover versions of them. So that's how I talked myself into buying them. and Tyler always gives really good deals. So I never feel like I have regrets buying them from guys like him. So it was a good buy. So that's it I have from this haul. Upcoming, I need to do the Red Rising book. I finished that audiobook the other day. I'll talk about that one. I'm gonna listen to book 2 real fast because that one also expires next week from my free Audible account, they I guess let me have it for a year or 2 or whatever it is. So I want to knock that out, and then there was a few requests after my Port of Shadows review to do like a Black Company overview, so I could do that. It's kind of fresh in my mind still. Better earlier than later on that, and maybe talk about that. I'm struggling to think how I'm going to do it because I don't want to get too spoilery. But how do you talk about the later books without getting somewhat spoilery? I'm thinking about this in my head, but then I'm also like, this is the last book in the main series was published 25 years ago, and the first book was published over 40 years ago. What can I really spoil now? But it's I find a lot of people haven't read that series yet, so I don't know. I'll figure something out, or maybe I'll give warnings that, hey, coming up some little spoilers, but we'll see. But I do want to do that. I think that'll be fun. One of my favorite series. I've talked it up a bunch. My buddy Raxus just read it, loved it, gave it a 5-star Goodreads review, or the first book. So I think it is really good for the people who like that kind of stuff. Different take, not your normal hero fantasy. So anyway, if you're watched all the way through here, I appreciate you hanging out, watching my videos. I love more comments. Anything you see on here, if you see stuff you like in these hauls, and you can message me or email me and say, hey, I would like to buy this or that. I'm definitely up for that. Or I can say, hey, come to my Whatnot shows. Follow me on there, and you can pick up some of these if you want. Again, this eBay is not really to shill for Whatnot or eBay or anything. It's more of maybe a bonus kind of thing, but this is more just having fun and showing the hobby off, right? So thank you, everyone. I'll catch you whenever I get my next video up. Have a good one.